So now let's talk a little bit about regularization of linear regression functions. Why regularization is necessary? So we talked about the bias and the variance in regression models, and one way to reduce the variance in the models is to restrict the freedom of the model. So restricting the freedom of the model has to be done judiciously. It has to be done based on on some understanding of the data or understanding of the model itself. And one of the most common ways of regularizing a model is to restrict its weights from becoming too large. So a polynomial is a good example. So let's say we have y is equal to wd x to the power d plus all the way up to w1 x to the power 1 plus w0, right? So if I let these let me write it again. So let's assume that we have y, which is a polynomial, and it is wd x to the power d plus all the way up to w1 x to the power 1 plus w0 x to the power 0, which is just a constant w0. Now for this particular polynomial, if I let the weights become too large, then what will happen? That I will have a polynomial that can wiggle quite a bit, okay? And because of that, depending on what subsample of the data, underlying data I try, I can have wildly varying polynomials where the variance of the model will be very, very large. Okay, so one way to restrict this model is to restrict the number of degrees, restrict the d, reduce the d itself. Another way to restrict this model is to say that what I want is I want the sum of wj squared, okay, j is equal to 1 to d, to be less than equal to some value, let's say eta. Okay, so what I'm saying is that if I look at the w space, mind it, it is not x space, it is not x and w space, this is w space. I will say, let's say wi and wj, okay, two different weights. Then the weights can be positive or negative so long as they lie in a ball, and the ball itself is determined by this constant eta. Okay, so the L2 norm of w is penalized. Okay, we want to penalize the L2 norm of w. Now this is an inequality constraint, and we also want to minimize the sum of squared errors between y and t. Okay, so the way we will do that is use something that is familiar to you, which is Lagrange multipliers for constrained optimization. So we want to minimize the unconstrained optimization, is that we want to minimize the sum of squared errors between y and t. We want to bring y as close to t as possible. The constraint part of it is that while doing so, we cannot have the L2 norm of w more than a constant. Okay, and what this will do is this will reduce the variance of the model. And what is the right restriction, right level of restriction? We don't know that yet. What for that we will do validation or cross validation or bootstrapped validation, etc. Okay, so we will do one of those things to find out what is a good value for good extent of regularization, good how tight this ball should be, that we will determine using validation. Be that as it may. So now how we will put this into a loss function? The way to put this in a loss function would be, now that we have I is equal to 1 to n, okay, and here we will have ti minus y, which is w transpose x xi squared, okay, and let's normalize it. We will call it this by 1 by 2. We will have this, and then we can even have sum of squared errors, so we can have 1 by 2n. Okay, all right, so we want to minimize this. plus we want to minimize some lambda by 2 times. So this lambda is from the Lagrange multiplier, okay, of, now we will have another sum of j is equal to 1 to d of w, okay, wj, we will take the mod of that and we will take to the power q, where q is equal to 2. And I will come to why we have a general q, why we are not saying we are just leaving it as 2. For this particular example, we will have q whose power which is equal to 2. So this is the L2 norm of w. So we are saying that the two things together should be minimized. So what is lambda? Lambda is your extent of regularization. If you have large lambda, then you can only have very small weights within a very tight ball, okay, very tight hypersphere of w, where we are looking at d dimensions, not just 2 dimensions. So we will have a very tight ball if we have large lambda. If your lambda is 0, then it will be as if the second term does not exist, and because of that you will have unconstrained optimization, unregularized problem that we have already looked at. So we want to minimize this, minimize over w, find good w vector that will minimize this. So how will we do this? So first let's visualize this. So let's look at the first term. So again, let's say this is the w1 and w2 space, some 2 weights, okay. I cannot draw more than 2 dimensions, so I will just say w1 and w2 space. Let's say there is a value of w that is optimal, so let's call it w star. This is the optimal value of w for the unconstrained optimization. This is minimizes, this is equal to argmin of w when we minimize sum of squared errors, right? So this is ti minus w transpose xi whole squared. We are minimizing this over all values of I is equal to 1 to n, and you can even take 1 by 2n here, okay. So if we minimize this, then we will get this w star, all right. And if we don't get this w star, if we use some other w, we will get slightly higher value of this loss, okay. We'll get slightly higher value of mean square error. So this is your mean square error. So because of that, we will have some contours around it, right? So these are contours of equal error, okay. So as we go outside in this bowl, the error, the sum of squared error is increasing, all right. So this is for the the sum of squared errors. Now let's look at the regularizer. The regularizer says that we want to minimize the sum of squares of w's. So when will it be minimized? When we will have w equal to 0. It is at the origin. So its contours will be circles, isotropic circles, okay, that are centered at the origin. Now one loss is pulling w in this direction. The other term of the loss is pulling w in this direction. So we have two opposing forces, and where do they balance each other? They balance each other based on what is the value of lambda. So lambda is your trade-off parameter. Lambda is trade-off parameter, and 0 is less than equal to lambda is less than infinity, okay. So or less than equal to infinity. So this is your lambda, the range of lambda. Or another way to say is that lambda belongs to r plus. So when lambda is 0, then we will get w star. When lambda is infinity, we will get w equal to 0, not just 0 vector, okay. So the actual solution based on lambda will be somewhere in between. So where will it be? So it can be easily argued that it will, wherever it will be at a point where the two contours are tangential to each other. So they have to be tangential to each other. Otherwise, you can go along one of the contours and reduce the value of the other term in the loss function. So the two opposing forces will be such that it will the minimization will be achieved at the tangential point between two contours of the two different parts of the loss function. Okay, so depending on the lambda, the contour will shift up or down, or the tangential point will shift up or down. So we'll get a locus. That locus will look something like will be on all the tangential points between the two, and it will go something like this. Okay, so your solution will be somewhere along this locus, and both terms are convex, and when you add two convex losses or two convex functions using a positive constant such as lambda, then the resultant is also a convex function. That's a property of convex function, and it can be easily proved using just the definition of convex functions. So here now we have all these possible solutions as the joint minimized loss functions for different values of lambda. Now, which one of them is correct? The one that minimizes both the bias and the variance. What minimizes the bias and the variance together? We don't know. All we can do is we can check it on validation data. The one that gives the minimum error on validation data, or repeated subsamples of validation data, or k-fold cross validation, that is the best value of lambda. So the best empirical value of lambda, or the best estimate of lambda in some sense. So we will use this lambda as a hyperparameter, whereas w will be the parameters, and we will minimize. We will try to find that particular solution where the loss is minimized on the validation data. Now this q is equal to 1 is not the only possible, q is equal to 2 is not the only possible regularization. We will also look at another possible regularization where q is equal to 1, which is the L1 regularization. So basically what we are saying is that we are minimizing the L1 norm of W. So here the contours will become slightly different. Again, let's look at W1, W2 space. Okay, and again your unconstrained solution, let's say, lies here, and it has these contours. On the other hand, if we are saying that we want to also minimize lambda times the L1 norm of W, we need to draw the contours of L1 norm being constant. So what is L1 norm? That will be, let's say, W1 mod plus W2 mod, okay, is equal to constant. When this constant is 0, we will get the origin. When this constant is something else, we will get this 45-degree tilted square or rhombus or diamond. Okay, and basically your contours will be these 45-degree tilted squares. So again, the solution will be where the two contours are tangential. So we need to, for different values of lambda, we will get different solutions. So for example, here these two are tangential. Now something interesting happens when we take the L1 norm. Now let's keep expanding this, and we'll find that there comes a point where the tangential portion actually sits on the corner of one of the squares. The tangential contours of the unconstrained part of the loss function, the sum of squared errors of the loss function, that contour will just graze the corner of the square. There is no corner in circle, so that doesn't happen for L2 norm. It only happens for L1 norm. Okay. So what happens at that point? So at that point, one of the weights is 0, exactly 0. So basically that weight gets eliminated. That means that feature or that dimension of x does not matter in the final solution. So basically it is as good as saying that we have dropped that feature. Now you might be asking at this point, why these are elliptical and why the other ones are not elliptical, or why the other ones, the contours of LQ norm of W, why are they either circular or squares? See, if you look at the contours of Ti minus W transpose Xi, right? Ti minus W transpose Xi, and we will take the square of this, right? And we will sum it over I, right? So here the issue, this becomes exactly so this is elliptical, because here we are looking at the shape of these contours depends on the covariance matrix of X. So if X has two different dimensions that are correlated with each other, these ellipses will be tilted as opposed to being aligned to the axes. Okay, so that is how it is, but it is still a quadratic function. That's why you get ellipses. Whereas when we change the penalization term, so the penalization term that we had plus lambda times, I am not using lambda by 2 here now, so we have this sum over j of W to the power q, right? And we can take the qth root of that also, so we will take the qth root of that. So that is your LQ norm, right? So here earlier we had this for to the power 2, here we will have for q will be equal to 1. Whenever we have this, then now the contours of the second term are not going to be circles. They were circles and not ellipses for q is equal to 2, because we were looking at same weight given to all dimensions of W. But now we are giving the same weight to all absolute values of W, not the squares of W. So we will get these squares. So once we have these squares, we have the situation where for a certain size of a square, for certain size of the square, the tangential point will actually graze the corner. The tangential curve from the error minimization will graze the corner, and because of that one of the W's is going to be 0. In this case, in this figure, W2 is 0. So the locus that we will get, okay, is going to be exactly 0 for W2 at until a certain point, and then it will go like this. Okay, so for a particular critical lambda, when you increase lambda further, when lambda is greater than a particular value, some weights can become 0, and those weights will remain 0 for higher values of lambda. So in that case, what happens is that we do feature elimination. So another way to look at it would be that if we have uncorrelated dimensions of X, right, and we look at let's say what is the unconstrained weights. So this is unconstrained weights, and this is the constrained weight for lambda greater than 1. Okay. So if we have no lambda, then we get an identity function. If we get higher lambda, then for L2 norm, we will basically be reducing the value of so this is no constraint, and this is some L2 constraint, L2 regularization. Why will the weights dip like this and dip in the absolute value like this? Is because we are trying to constrain the L2 norm of the weights. But what will happen for L1 norm, we get a behavior that is like this. We will have some reduction in weights, but then it will become exactly 0 for certain values, and then we will have another reduction in weights, and this reduction is constant so long as the data is uncorrelated. The different dimensions of x are uncorrelated. So here we will have for L2 norm we will have a constant factor reduction. So there will be an angular rotation of the weights in some the weight line, and in the other one we will have this dead zone sort of in between for large values of lambda, and outside that there will be a constant reduction in weights. So this is a behavior that we see for uncorrelated x for different types of regularization. We can also try other forms of regularization where, let's say, q is equal to half. I will leave that as an exercise, that the contours will be something like a square but that is like squished in. Okay, and if q is equal to 3, then instead of circle we will get like a rounded circle where this distance is larger than the radius, larger than this distance, so it is like pushed out a bit. When you have q is equal to infinity, you will get a contour like this. So this is L infinity now, q is equal to infinity. And when you have q is equal to 0, then your it will be so much squished in that it will basically just, so this is q tending to 0. It will be squished in almost to the axis itself. So they have different behaviors on how they control the weights of the model. So I hope you have got a good picture of linear regression, how nonlinear regression can be modeled as linear regression, and how to constrain linear regression even if you have a lot of features, even artificially created features such as powers of x or radial basis functions or kernels of x. Even then, if you expand the dimension, you can still regularize the model using L2 regularization. L2 regularization is called ridge regression. So L2, you will see the term L2 is synonymous with ridge penalty or ridge regression. It is also synonymous with Tikhonov regression, and it is also synonymous with weight decay in neural networks. And we have L1 penalty. The L1 penalty is synonymous many times with lasso, linear shrinkage and elimination operator. I forgot the exact number. It's called lasso. It's basically a convex relaxation over the L0 norm. We use the L0 norm to eliminate some weights, and because that's not a convex function, we use the something called a convex relaxation, which is L1 norm. So with this, I will close this lecture, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.